SSDI and SSI beneficiaries. Here's the question on everyone's mind right now. Are you actually included in the new stimulus law that just was signed by Trump? Because let's be honest, if you felt forgotten before, you're not alone. But this year's bill actually has some critical updates that could put more back in your pocket if you know where to look. So let me walk you through what you could be able to claim, what's going to be changing in 2025, and how to be able to protect your benefits. This is not hype. This is real policy backed insight that can save you thousands. All right. So what's in this new stimulus bill for SSDI and SSI beneficiaries? So let's address the elephant in the room. Are you included in this? And here's the thing. The stimulus bill signed on July 4th contains multiple changes that do affect people on SSDI and SSI. Not every one of them will apply to you, but some are absolutely game changers. So let's break this down. So number one, there is the $6,000 deduction, and can you be able to qualify for it? So here's what most people don't understand. This isn't going to be a check in the mail. It's going to be a deduction on your taxes. But don't click off too quickly, right? If you're over the age of 65, this could actually still help you, especially if you have any earned income or filed jointly. So $6,000 deduction for individuals. It's going to be a $12,000 deduction for married couples. You have to be over the age of 65 and you must meet income thresholds, which most SSDI and SSI recipients already do. If you're only living on SSI, odds are you're already beneath the standard deduction. So this probably doesn't apply to you. But for SSDI recipients who are still working part-time or have spousal income, it could matter. All right. Bottom line is that this deduction was designed to be able to offset taxes on your benefits. It's not a loophole. It's backed into the law. Number two, something that you want to be aware of is the new $2,200 child tax credit. So this is going to surprise you. If you're raising a child under the age of 18 while on SSDI or SSI, you may qualify for the increased child tax credit, now bumped up to $2,200. So it's going to be partially refundable. You just need a qualifying dependent. No need to meet a high income threshold. SSI/SSDI incomes usually fall under. So here's the trick. Even if you haven't filed taxes before, filing this year might unlock this child tax credit. All right. So you want to make sure you talk to someone who has experience going ahead and filling out taxes as it relates to this credit. So that could actually mean more real cash in your pocket for you and your family. All right, number three is going to be a major change, the $40,000 SALT deduction and why it matters to you. So most SSDI and SSI recipients never paid attention to SALT, which is going to be the state and local tax deductions. Why? Because the cap was only $10,000 and didn't really apply to most low-income filers. But here's what changed. The cap is now $40,000 for the next 5 years, and that's huge. Now, this mainly is going to help married couples with multiple property tax bills. That's going to impact those the most. SSDI beneficiaries still working or who can co-file with a high earner. And it's not going to be a rebate. It's just going to be a tax offset. So if your income is still under the threshold, it may not necessarily help that much this year. But if you start working part-time or sell a property, this is actually going to matter. All right, now we have the 2025 COLA updates, and here's what you're actually going to get. So here's something that caught my attention, right? So the SSA just confirmed the 2.5 COLA increase for 2025. SSDI and Social Security payments increased starting January 2025. So SSI increases hit December 31st, 2024. So that's going to be around $50 a month or more for the average retiree. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, okay, 2.5 doesn't sound like a lot, especially with groceries up by 10 to over 15% over the past 2 years. But this COLA increase is automatic, right? So you don't need to apply to be able to get it. It's actually going to show up directly in your account with your direct deposit. You probably may be aware of the Social Security Fairness Act, if that's going to impact you. So let's talk about probably one of the biggest updates in recent history is going to be that Social Security Fairness Act, which was signed into law January 5th, 2025. And it's going to be huge if you and your spouse ever worked in a public service under the pension. So the act eliminates WEP, also known as WEP, which is the windfall elimination provision. It eliminates GPO, which is the government pension offset, and could mean larger checks for over 2 million Americans, right? So if your benefits were reduced due to working a non-Social Security covered job, this can mean a retroactive payment back to January 2024. So make sure your info is updated in your My Social Security account. Do not miss this opportunity. All right. So a quick warning here that can delay some of the benefits, right? This is going to be important. So Trump he issued a memo in January and put a temporary pause on many federal financial assistance programs. So that's going to include things such as disability related grants, right? So this is not going to necessarily directly impact SSI or SSDI payments directly, but if you're applying for things like HUD vouchers, special disability housing, state level grants funded by federal programs, your applications may actually get delayed while agencies review for compliance with presidential priorities. So please understand the SSA and Medicare are going to be exempt from this. Your monthly checks are going to be safe, but be aware that potential slowdowns may happen with these benefits. All right. So quick tip, make sure you go ahead and get some help with the Medicare before the rush. Now, one important thing to understand is Medicare open enrollment's coming soon. If you're over the age of 65 or you're on SSDI and Medicare eligible, this is a time to be able to compare your plans. All right. And I've got some great news for you. There's actually a free service where you're actually able to talk to a human being as it relates to this and be able to go ahead and do this. All right. So to be able to help you get better coverage, save some money on premiums, copays, 90% of Medicare enrollees are actually on the wrong plan. It's very, very frustrating. All right. So you want to make sure you call early. Don't wait until the flood where millions of people are calling them in October. And a couple of things that I want to recap with you. So yes, SSDI and SSI recipients are included in the 2025 changes. The $6,000 deduction and the $2,200 tax credit may help you depending on your age and your dependents. COLA is automatically going to be adjusting and boosted. The Fairness Act may actually retroactively increase your Social Security check. There's going to be some federal delays with the new memo that was released that's going to slow down some of the non-SSA benefits. And here's what I want you to know right now, right? Remember, you're not forgotten, but these programs can be complex. If you don't know what to claim, you might be leaving money on the table. So you want to make sure you go ahead and call your Medicare advisors now if you're eligible. That's going to be totally free. And hey, if this helped you, make sure you go ahead and share this video with anyone that's on SSDI or SSI. You never know who may need this information right now. Until next time, take care, stay informed, and keep fighting what's rightfully yours. Take care. See you in the next one.